Hi there, welcome to Tarotland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Aries energy, and like usual, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Aries energy, the bottom row a more worldly, shadowy Aries energy. It could represent the two aspects of ourself. We have to make decisions in our life, and in our high vibe Aries energy, we might want to do things differently in our life, but in our more worldly, shadowy Aries energy, we kind of want to keep doing things the way we've been doing it, like to stay in our comfort zone. And the shadowy row could represent our own fears, insecurities, pride, ego, whatever it could be. It can also represent some of the people in our life that are in more shadowy energy who want us to be a more shadowy energy, because then we'll stay in friendships and relationships with them. We have our dualistic nature and we have different people in our life, and then we have the free will to choose what aspect we align with within ourselves and what people we're going to align with. Some people could be struggling within themselves right now. Other people are moving forward in life differently, have detached from a more worldly, shadowy way of living their life or viewing their life. And well, some people are going to move forward in life differently and have been. Some other people aren't. And, we're all ready to move forward in life differently, kind of detach from an old way of living life or viewing life. And we're all ready to do that at different times. We all are on our own journey and have different lessons to learn. And, well, you'll kind of, oh my goodness, that's a lot. You'll get more of the feel for it as we go along. Got a lot coming out in that top row. Okay. The reason for the top row's reading is the Ace of Pentacles, which in high vibe means that they've learned some lesson. They've done some inner work or gotten some life experience that made them see life differently, grow, heal, or mature themselves. Something, and they're taking what they've learned to move forward in life differently. Okay. Okay, my goodness. A lot of cards for this one. Alright. Generally, it's like just 4 or 5 cards, but apparently Aries energy has a lot to say. Okay, so let's go look at the top row first. Now, with this card being the reason for the reading, it can also be our worldly nature, and other people who are more aligned with our worldly nature tempts us in our more worldly nature to align with them. Our own shadow nature wants to be in the driver's seat of our life. It doesn't want our more hopeful, believing, loving nature to be the guiding force in our life. And then there's other people in our life who want us in our more worldly nature, because then we'll be in a relationship with them. So we can have different people in our life who are offering us things. High vibe people are offering us truth and love. More worldly, shadowy people are offering us things of the world. I have money, status, ego, image, I'm attractive, I'm charming, I'll have sex with you, something, And it's to decide who is offering us the truth. If that's high vibe people, that's what they're motivated by, people who are offering them the truth and want them to grow to their full potential. And other people want us to keep doing things the way we've been doing it. Okay, so then we start out with 2 cards not showing themselves. What some people don't know about some high vibe Aries people is that they have detached from harnessing this energy in a more worldly, shadowy way, and they disconnected from some people in their life who harness this energy in a more worldly, shadowy way. And now, what some people don't know about them is they do harness it in a more high vibe way. The Queen of Wands and the King of Wands. We all could have been more inspired. I view the King of Wands as Aries energy. We all were more inspired, kind of, by the world, because Aquarius also represents the star card. We all, for the first 30, 40 years of our life, are pretty much focused on all these things of the world that we want, that we think will make us happy, or being more about ourselves, or looking like a shining star in the world, or being the center of attention, are just these dreams that we had, because Aquarius can kind of represent the dreams that we had. We all went and pursued those things because we thought for sure they were going to make us happy, but the reason for the bottom rose reading is we had some lessons to learn, and we could have felt wounded, and we could have ended up feeling defensive. That there is more to life than just us and these things of the world, and but we live in the world, we grew up in the world. Other people tell us if you make your life about this, you'll be happy. And we go do those things and indulge in those things, and we can feel betrayed, is what the Queen of Wands can talk about. The Queens can talk about how we think and feel. The masculine cards can represent how we present ourselves in the world and action that we're taking in the world, but how do we really think and feel? And before, we could have taken action more out of defending this worldly dream, or because we had felt betrayed. We've all been in relationships with other people where things didn't work out and we were defensive, and then we could have gotten in another relationship because we were defensive, or gotten a different job or something. And now, all the bottom row can be that we were repeating a pattern over and over and over, and we'll repeat a pattern until we learn the lesson we were meant to learn from it. And Nine of Wands is Sagittarius energy, which is about higher learning and education. And we kind of learned, I better start standing up for myself, and maybe standing up to my own more immature worldly nature, or I'm going to keep repeating this pattern. And this pattern that I'm repeating kind of isn't working out the way I thought. So I need to, even though there are things in my Aries energy that I want to go do, that I could like to go do, that would make me feel better. We've learned lessons in life that if we take action more out of pain, fear, defensiveness, anger, or whatever, we're kind of planting bad seeds, and it's probably not going to work out the way we want. So we hold our sword of truth up to our Aries energy and say, no. We have learned these lessons in life. We have a dream. And if we want our dreams to come into reality, we have to temper maybe taking action that's just more about ourself, because Aries energy is about the self. We have an opportunity to move forward. We can turn our back to that, and keep doing the same old thing we've always been doing. Hang out with the same people we've been hanging out with. Some of those people might be defensive to us, might be kind of cold, might be critical, can be our own inner voice that's kind of harsh and critical. Or we can tell ourselves and those people, I'm inspired to do life differently, and I don't want to live my life like that anymore. And our shadow nature will be mad at us, and some of those people in our life will be mad at us. And it's like, I'm not going to keep taking action more out of ego or fear or defensiveness, or because I've felt betrayed before. I am inspired to emotionally grow and mature myself, to learn the lessons I was meant to learn from this life experience, and invest in my dreams. The Two of Wands is Aries energy. I'm going to... The truth is, when the Queen of Pentacles is holding... When one person is holding one pentacle, in high vibe, it means they did this inner work, and they learn lessons. They realize, I'm going to offer love to the situation. And they probably already did offer love to some people to try to bring a dream into reality. They wanted some people to work together with them. The Six of Cups can talk about working together with me in a just and fair manner where there's equal give and take, and a deep, meaningful relationship where we heal in the Four of Wands or the Four of Swords. And then in the Five of Pentacles, Are we all willing to learn lessons in life? Are we all willing to heal and grow and mature ourselves? Get out of our ego, get out of our defensiveness, get out of being more about ourselves, to detach from that old way of living life and move forward in life and work through our, in the Five of Cups, our regrets about the past that could make us defensive to believing in ourselves, trusting others, believing in love. Just because some people in our life didn't work together with us cooperatively from love doesn't mean everybody's not willing to work cooperatively in love. Just because some people were defensive to taking more bold, brave, creative action in their life doesn't mean that everybody is. And the whole thing is to kind of learn who should we have boundaries up to and protect ourselves from, and who are people that we should defend. But based on having met and worked with these different people in our life, are we willing to see the truth that some people who before we could have felt betrayed by and who were defensive to us and that we were defensive to, some of those people have healed and grown and matured, and they're not the same person they were. Just like we're not the same person we were. You know, we all can have the opportunity to heal and grow and mature ourselves throughout our lifetime. How we were when we were 15 and 18 and 21 and 25 doesn't mean that necessarily has to be the way that we're going to be when we're 35 and 45. Some people are, some people aren't. And have we learned these lessons to stand up for ourselves? Not maybe kind of go take action to get in a relationship just because we feel defensive. Have we emotionally matured ourselves to kind of defend our dream? And that I'm willing to get to know people and see what their truth is, what their philosophy of life is, you know, things that they've went through in life, and kind of try to listen to my intuition about if I think they're people who are in the Knight of Wands still kind of immature, just kind of want to maybe indulge themselves in a relationship to feel better, but they don't really want to work cooperatively with me to have a new beginning. It's more like, oh, well, I feel left out in the cold. I'm sad. I'm looking for someone to get in a relationship. You want to get in a relationship? It's like, I've already gotten in relationships with people either when I was in that energy or when they were in that energy, and it didn't work out very well. So I've kind of learned that I need to. The Six of Cups can talk about balance, and the Four of Swords, being Libra energy, about the scales of justice, can talk about balance. I need to maintain balance within myself. I need to not repeat old patterns. Even though in the Queen of Pentacles, there can be people in my life that I still have love for. Down here, we have the Page of Swords. You know, we can have children in our life. We can have siblings in our life. We can have people we've known from childhood. You know, just all these different people in the world that we can have love for them. But and at one time, I could have had a dream of being in a more deep, meaningful relationship and was hoping it would be more just and fair. But if I offered in high vibe energy truth and love to people to work together with them in that way, and they're still not working together with me in that way, and I feel kind of left out in the cold and sad, and sometimes you can kind of feel like people want you to chase them. It's like, I'm done chasing people. You know, if you want to live your life differently, go live your life differently. You know, the truth is, I have a dream. I want to be in these more deep, meaningful, just, fair relationships. If some of the people in my life might want to move forward with me in a relationship, but it is more them being indulged in it or indulging themselves, or they're still more immature, they could be willing to indulge me in the relationship. Do I really want to stay in a relationship with them? You know, if I've worked through some of my lack mentality and my regrets of the past, I want to be in relationships with other people who've done that. And then in the Knight of Wands, I'm kind of inspired to go on this adventure of I could have lived life a certain way. I could have been more unwilling to step out of my comfort zone, defensive to stepping outside my comfort zone. Because we all like to stay in our comfort zone. And when we get in jobs, friendships, and relationships, we'd all like those things to work out. And we'd like those people to work together with us. And kind of when we're kind of ready, like, I don't want to keep repeating this pattern. There's a certain way of interacting and a way of being that I'm kind of tired of it. I'm kind of ready to move forward differently. Do you want to move forward in life with me differently? And as some of those people are like, no, I still have unresolved issues from my past, and I still want to keep repeating an old pattern, and I think you should move forward with me being in that energy. It's like some people were a loving and encouraging person to other people to try to help them work through their issues that manipulate them. But eventually we kind of see the truth that I can be a loving and encouraging and supportive person in people's lives, but until they decide that they're inspired to kind of work through some of those issues from their past and see the truth of it and heal from it and let it go and detach from it and work through their regrets that maybe some of those people, they are the way they are. I can accept it. You go live your life. I go live my life. Maybe I don't hang out with you as much as we used to. Maybe I can still see you at Christmas, Um, but I'm kind of inspired to move forward in life differently. And as some people aren't, I offer love to it that they're going to go on their own journey. And we've all got to learn lessons the hard way. And sometimes how we want to move forward and our truth and kind of what drives and motivates us and kind of what drives and motivates other people. Again, some people could just be defensive of stepping out of their comfort zone. I would have to harness more high vibrational fire sign energy to work through why I keep repeating these patterns of the past, why I might not trust people. I haven't worked through my past pain and heartbreak and made peace with it to let it go. And it still kind of influences the decisions I make, and I might still be defensive to love or change or looking at life differently, because it could be that people are more caught up in the world and the ego and the image or the indulgence, and other people kind of aren't anymore, right? It's like everything has its place, but we could have been more tipped out of balance again in our fire sign energy because we just more were caught up in these things of the world. But then as time goes by in our life, it's like you can have all those things of the world and you feel sad and feel left out in the cold. I have all these things. I have this, I have that, I have status, I have image, I have money. I'm indulging in all these things. I got people indulging me. Looks like I'm living the dream. But I feel like I'm missing an opportunity in love because I'm either not investing in love or because of my own defensiveness. The people who are willing to be in a relationship with me could be in a relationship with me more out of their codependency or their fear or their defensiveness to loving and believing in themselves. And it just kind of keeps perpetuating itself. And then we kind of realize the fives talk about change, that the only person I can change is me. And if I have been trying to change other people and they are defensive to change and doing things differently, then from a place of love, I come to a place of peace about it. I wish you peace. I just can't keep repeating this way of living life because I feel like there's more to life. It's like in the Five of Pentacles, it can be I view the Queen of Pentacles and the Five of Pentacles as Taurus energy, which Taurus can represent our philosophy of life, that we were all more caught up in the world. If I make my life about my career and I have money or status or whatever, I'll be happy. Or other people will want to be in a relationship with me because of those things. Or if I'm attractive or charming or whatever. But maybe I was missing the point which it's more about a balance because high vibe energy is about balance. Yes, I want some of these things of the world, but am I willing to sacrifice love? Maybe some people didn't think love was important. Like, isn't sex love? That can be kind of shadowy fire sign energy. I'm going to be in a relationship with someone. I'm going to have sex with someone. Isn't that love? Well, you can be in different relationships with people and you can find out it is different. Some people didn't know that. Some people let some loving, creative, inspired people go because it required them to work through some of their issues. And it's like, I can go find someone else to get in a relationship with. But then they could have gotten in relationships with people who were more worldly focused, ego focused, image focused, wanting to be in a relationship with them for those reasons. And then kind of found out that it is lacking that creative inspired spark, which is love, and being more hopeful and believing in love. And then you get in relationships that aren't really because of love, and you kind of like, why am I sad? Why do I feel like this isn't as abundant as I thought it was going to be? And it's like, well, because maybe it weren't operating from love. And we've all got to learn those lessons in life, and we can all be more caught up in the world. And then I think high vibe people, because they've kind of learned some of these lessons, they kind of get out of their ego about it. I'm just a fallible human being who had lessons to learn. Everybody else is fallible human beings who've got lessons to learn. I'm inspired to move forward in life differently. And before they move forward to have a new beginning, they could communicate in the Knight of Wands with people in their life that this is how I'm moving forward. Who wants to move forward like this? Who's on the same page? And some of those people will turn their back to it. Nope, that's not my dream. Nope, I'm more about this, or I'm already in a relationship like that. So I don't want to heal a relationship with you because I'm already in relationships with people like that, and I'm hoping we're going to go on this journey together. Okay, high vibe people deal with the truth. Other people might be like, I've been in a job or a friendship or a relationship or whatever, and I have been trying to encourage those people, and I'm seeing the truth that they don't want to change. And so I'm willing to detach from those people, work through my regrets about that relationship not working out or that friendship. And I am inspired to work with you and have a new beginning. And, the same thing can happen in jobs, right? Where you're in a job, you think things are going to move forward a certain way, they don't seem to be moving forward a certain way, and then it's hard you'd really like it to work, but eventually it's, you got to work through your fears and insecurities about applying for a new job. And then you might tell some other people, hey, I'm going to go apply for this new job, or I did get this new job. And, are you going to keep staying here and living your life like this with these people who make you feel left out in the cold and sad and are kind of immature and, maybe using the love that you have for them or the love for this job to try to manipulate you, but nothing ever changes in a way. And so some people will move forward with you and some people won't. High vibe people are going to communicate to the people currently in their life, people in their life that they know who they think are more on the same page as them, and the people who they're not trying to, shadowy Aries energy can be being trying to control people. Shadowy energy in general can be trying to manipulate people. And high vibe people are trying to inspire people emotionally with truth and love, willing to work together with people, but those people would have to be willing to heal from some issues in their life, which could be a more worldly view of life, or I don't want to do love, I get hurt doing love, I just want to indulge myself in the world, or be in relationships where I'm indulged or I indulge someone else. I don't really want to see the truth that it is about being just and fair and being authentic and being in deep, meaningful relationships. Well, those people probably won't come with because that's not where they're at. And the people who are on that kind of viewpoint of life, they've gotten over feeling betrayed by people in their past and being more about themselves. They've emotionally grown and matured themselves. They haven't given up on their dreams. They're going to communicate their truth to people if people are willing to move forward with them in an authentic, just, fair way, balanced way. They'll keep moving forward with them. If not, you know, or if they take kind of more immature action or trying to, I don't know, tempt them more in their worldly nature or lust or greed or whatever, it's like, I see what you're doing and I can see how I could have fallen for that before. And, you know, it's just like being at a job where they keep offering you more money, but you keep working for people who are hurtful and unkind and immature and bossy and controlling and egotistical. It's like, oh my God, it doesn't matter how much money you pay me. I am not staying. I'm leaving. And it's kind of the same way in a relationship. And then it's our own shadow nature. It keeps trying to tempt us in our shadowy ways of being. This will work out great. You should do this instead. We shouldn't do anything new. We shouldn't step out of our comfort zone. That's scary. We get hurt. And it's like, I've already listened to my shadow nature and that didn't work out. So I am going to detach from you and I'm going to wrap my brain around this game of life. I'm going to work through my fears and my insecurities, and I'm going to move forward in life differently, and I'm going to have good boundaries up to my own shadow nature and people in my life who I think tried to tempt me to be in my more shadowy energy. And I'm going to stand up for myself and what I believe in. And I'm going to quit communicating with the people in my life who I think harness this energy in a more worldly, shadowy way. I've already seen that their truth and their idea of the dream life and how they want to move forward in life isn't aligned with my truth. And that's okay. To each their own. You go live your life, I'll go live my life. Is it hard? Yeah, because some of those people, we really wanted them to move forward with us in that way. But we keep seeing they're defensive to doing that. And they want to keep repeating this old pattern. It's like, okay, I see the truth. I wish you peace. I'm moving on. And so high vibe people are having a new beginning. They have closed out an old chapter in their life. They have, it's kind of like learning the lesson you're meant to learn from a phase of life. And when you learn that lesson, it's like ding, 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 ding. You kind of get to go to the next phase of life. And you have no interest in repeating that old way. Like, I was 15, I don't want to live life like a 15-year-old again. And the same thing happens with these other different stages of life and how we view life and how we interact with people and how we view ourselves, how we view the world. It's like, I don't view life that way anymore. I have looked at life from a higher perspective. I have more hope and faith and belief in myself and in my dreams. And if there was people in my life or my own shadowy Aries energy that was trying to control me or manipulate me, I'm holding my sword up to that aspect within myself and people that are in that type of energy. Because I've emotionally grown and matured myself and I have a dream and I'm going to go invest in that dream and with people. I can only have my dream come into reality with other people who are in that frame of mind. If they want to go this way and I want to go that way, how can my dream come into reality with them? If their truth is this and my truth is that, what I think is just and fair, what they think is just and fair, what drives and motivates them versus what drives and motivates me. We have to be on the same page. We have to work together cooperatively. We kind of have to be free from some of the same things probably that at one time could have manipulated us in order to move forward in this new way. To complete an old chapter and cycle to move forward in life differently. So let's go look at the bottom row. I'm not going to pick them all up. We have the Hermit, the Strength card, the Ten of Pentacles, the Six of Swords, Two of Cups, Empress, Death, King of Swords, Ten of Wands, and the Page of Swords. At one time, we defended this way of living life, which could have been us in our more codependent nature, is what the pages in shadow energy can talk about. We could have been kind of naive and gullible. You know, you can be a hopeful, believing, loving person and you think everybody's motivated by love, and then you go out there in the world and you find out that some people are hiding, that they operate from their ego, and they're more inspired by money and materialism or status and image or the status quo. Don't want to have a new beginning. This way of living life and operating in life, that's how they want to keep moving forward. But they don't tell people that. You know, anybody can try to present themselves as harnessing more high vibrational energy. Oh, yeah, no, I'm not prideful. I'm not egotistical. I'm not self centered. I'm not manipulative. I'm not bossy. I'm not controlling. I'm not more materialistic. I'm not more codependent and immature. But they are. You know, but you don't know that till you kind of can be in a relationship with them for a long time and you're kind of wondering why things aren't moving forward. And you know, it seems to maybe be at a standstill where you're moving forward in a relationship thinking everybody is doing this work within themselves to heal from past pain and heartbreak and some fears and insecurities so that you can keep moving forward and give birth to something new. But as time goes by, some of the other people want to keep moving forward in the relationship, but they kind of don't want to give birth to the truth or being more just and fair. And so, shadowy Empress, which is how people can think and feel, I'm okay doing this. I want to keep giving birth to this, like over and over and over. I don't want to see the truth. Death to the truth. Let's keep doing this. This is my truth. Let's keep doing this. And that's when you kind of realize there isn't going to be justice in this situation because the King of Swords is Libra energy, represented by the scales of justice. And then you could kind of feel shadowy fire sign energy and shadowy energy at large can be, I kind of like this. This works for me. This is good for my ego and my image and all these things. And I kind of am happy in it. And I don't want anything to change. And it can kind of be about them indulging themselves in the relationship. And they might not want to see the truth that they kind of like to indulge themselves in a relationship. And they think that's just and fair. And if they indulge themselves in their more immature, defensive, egoic, whatever ways of living life, well, they've concluded that's just and fair. And then they think other people should think that's just and fair to kind of indulge them in those ways. And they've maybe got people in their life or in their family that have indulged them in that ways or been in other relationships or marriage where people have done that. Well, why aren't you doing that? Why do you want to do things differently? I don't want to do things differently. This works for me. And you know, and that's when some people kind of realize that our truth is different. Your philosophy of life, your dream, how you want to work together with people, what you think is just and fair, how you want to keep moving forward, is you might not even care that I'm sad. Because really, it could just be all about you and your ego and your image and how it works for you. And so long as I'm willing and defensive to leaving, and I kind of keep indulging you in the relationship, you think it's a victory and a win. And for some people, that is their dream life. You are supposed to indulge me. You are supposed to be in your fear and your defensiveness. You are supposed to be codependent on me. Some of these people are either just full of themselves, but some of them, they do have status or image or stability or social clout, or they're attractive or something, whatever it was that could have drawn and attracted people to someone. They thought, oh my gosh, with this person, my dream can come into reality. Or a job, it seems like this promising, victorious, successful job. But then you come to find out that they're not very just and fair, and they could be my way or the highway type of people, and immature, and like to be indulged in their ego. And it's just like, oh my God, this is not worth it. And for a long time, because people do want things to work out and they'd like the things that they've invested their time and energy into to work out the way they want, we can keep indulging people. And you might know some people right now that are repeating a pattern. They could be a loving, nurturing, supportive, encouraging person, and they're still defending it, and they're still putting a lot of work and effort to get it to work. And it could be overwhelming. And that's kind of when some people, I can't keep being the one who puts in all the work and effort to make this a more balanced, just, fair, stable, working together, moving forward, when other people aren't. Again, it's supposed to be where we work together cooperatively. And if it's a romantic relationship, the truth is, in love, you are supposed to treat other people the way you like to be treated. And it is supposed to be just and fair. And some people don't want to be just and fair. That would take a lot of work and effort on their part, and they're defensive to doing that. And they have their idea of what the dream life and dream relationship is. No, it's more about me being indulged. If you don't love and believe in yourself or believe in your dreams, and maybe I have some of these things of the world that you want, well, then that is a shadowy Taurus relationship. It's transactional. And whoever thinks that they have more of these things of the world that people want, well, then they should be the person who's indulged. They could be people who really don't appreciate loving, nurturing, supportive, encouraging people. Oh, you're a dime a dozen. I can go find another one of you. Or there's someone else who'll be in a relationship with me who'll indulge me, and they haven't learned the lesson that you can find people who might be willing to indulge you in a relationship, but if they don't love you, it can feel really overwhelming to move forward in a relationship. If you are kind of motivated and inspired by love and would like to be in loving relationships, but because you hadn't seen the truth of that in the past and you thought, no, it's more about me being indulged, well, then they can go get in a relationship with some people who are like, hey, I'll indulge you. I'll move forward with a relationship with you. Hey, this works for me. This is good for my ego and image. And it's great that you're kind of motivated and inspired by love. I'm glad you didn't see the truth about that with some other people you were in a relationship. I'm even happier if you're defensive and in your ego about admitting the truth, and you want to keep putting in a lot of work and effort to try to make the relationship work out with me. Perfect. When we align with our more immature worldly nature, we're going to learn some hard lessons in life. That if we have some growing up and healing, maturing to do, but we didn't want to do it, we're going to reject some loving people, and we're going to get ourselves in relationships with some people that are happy that we haven't learned the truth yet. And that we're still really motivated and inspired to be codependent or immature or defensive to love or egoic or materialistic because they're happy to be in a relationship with you, being in that energy because it works for them. Some people dreamed of being in a relationship or a marriage. The King and Queen of Pentacles is the only married suit of the deck. There could have been some people that could have wanted to move forward with them. They could have felt some of those people were kind of immature, kind of wanting to indulge in a relationship. Maybe people weren't speaking the truth. A relationship could have ended. People went and got in different relationships. Because sometimes, and it doesn't, you could have went through an experience like that. Other people in the world that you don't even know could have went through that experience. And the whole thing is we can have people in life that we're kind of mirroring them. where we are operating from the same foundation, but we all had our fears and our codependencies and kind of looking for a loving person to love us, just like we used to have parents who played that role. And sometimes we can get to be adults and we're going out in the world and we're still looking for people to play that role in our life because we haven't learned to love ourselves. And then when we do go through these life experiences that are kind of unjust, unfair, overwhelming, immature, we're wounded, we're defensive, we have the choice to kind of repeat that old pattern to feel better or go find someone else who's loving, and we keep being codependent and defensive and feeling overwhelmed, or we say, no more. I'm going to take this time to love myself and I'm going to work through a bunch of this shit because I wouldn't get myself into certain situations if I were willing to deal with the truth, where maybe before I didn't want to see the truth because I was overwhelmed or I was defensive or I was codependent. I didn't want to see the truth of it. And then I went through these life experiences that really were overwhelming, and I really had to stand up for my own inner child nature of hope and faith and belief and stand up for my dreams. And it kind of forced me to have to do this work within myself. What are my dreams? Do I want to keep trying to heal a relationship with people in my life who've already shown me that they're not very just and fair, that they might want to be more indulged in a relationship, that they could be intimidating and controlling and immature in their thinking, logic, and reasoning, and take action maybe to turn their back to me, to try to manipulate me and get me to do what they want me to do. But people who love you should be loving and nurturing and supportive and not try to manipulate you and control you and use the love that you have for them to manipulate them. Or it's like, how long have we kind of been in relationships with people who've done that to us before in our life? And it's kind of like, grow up. And who are the people who I think do that? And who do I think are the people that do love and believe in themselves? They have their dream. I might have my dream. And sometimes we're just on different pages. And they weren't trying to manipulate and control me. But if we weren't on the same page and we were focused on different things, well, then relationships and friendships can end, right? And it can be overwhelming and everybody can kind of feel defensive. But who are the people who had malicious intent? Who are the people who did kind of want to win at all costs? Because the Six of Swords moves away from the Five of Swords. And the Five of Swords can be people who seem to have a lot of mental conflict about being more just and fair and loving and hopeful and believing, or they're very much about themselves and their ego or their image, and it's really just more about them and they really don't care. And if someone else comes along that has more status or ego or image, I'll go get in a relationship with them because I wasn't in a relationship with you because of love anyway, you know? And who are the people that, we had lessons to learn, had our own issues to deal with, and then some of those relationships can come back together again. But the people in your life who've already shown you that they are more codependent on other people in their life, or their defensive nature to make them feel safe and secure, they're overwhelmed at being more authentic in their life, are codependent on to the world or other people in their life that they're not willing to stand up to, that they keep defending, because they align with that way of thinking and viewing life too. And some of the people that you were in a relationship with wanted you to keep defending a way of living life, not speaking the truth, not standing up for yourself, because none of them stand up for the truth or stand up to the world or their ego or their fear or this way of being in relationships more where it's ego or image or status. High vibe Aquarius is there's more to this world than just looking like a shining star in the world, or how much money you have, or how much status and power you have, or people indulging you. It's supposed to be about love. And some people are like, no, I get hurt doing love. I'm defensive to love. That is not my truth. But I want people to view me as this emotionally nurturing, just and fair person, but I don't really want to do love. I don't really want to emotionally invest in people. That is the danger zone. I don't want to do deep, meaningful relationships. I do not want to see the truth. That I try to present myself as someone who's motivated by love, but that's really not my truth. But I'm hoping if I can get people in a relationship with me and get them to date me and marry me and move forward in a relationship with me, that by the time they see the truth, that that's not my truth, because they are feeling left out in the cold and sad, that because of their own defensiveness and fear of having a new beginning, even though they're overwhelmed and wounded and defensive, they'll keep living life like this anyway. And then the shadowy people get to indulge themselves in a relationship with someone who is more loving and nurturing and all those things, but they're not really that type of person. And it is shadowy Scorpio, a more emotionally shallow, superficial relationship, but it makes logical, practical sense. We have all these things. We created a family, or this job is victorious and successful. I should stay in it even though I'm overwhelmed. Or for the children. And that's what some people were counting on. I'm hiding that I'm trying to manipulate you to move forward with me in a relationship. And I'm hoping by the time you find out the truth that I'm kind of myself, I indulge my more immature worldly nature and am defensive to being in a more authentic, deep, meaningful relationship. I'm hoping by the time you realize that, you won't love and believe in yourself enough, and you'll keep indulging in the illusion with me. And some people said no. And then some of those people have to go scorch earth on you because they don't want people to view you as being the authentic, just, fair, loving, nurturing, supportive person, because that's what they try to present themselves as, so people will get in a relationship with them. And of course you both can't be loving because, instead they'll probably not tell the truth about why you moved away or why they became defensive to you. And part of the reason is because they didn't want to work together with you in truth and love, but they don't want people to know that. They're kind of more immature. And so they decide, I'll just go get in a relationship with someone else who something didn't work out with, who's sad, and I'll create this illusion with that next person. And I'll indulge myself in it, and it's good for my ego and my image until that person finds out the truth. And some of those people, this pattern is repeating, where some of the next people they went to go get in a relationship with are like, wait a minute, I kind of feel like you gave the impression, and I've put in a lot of work and effort, and I'm trying to, you say, you're sad, and you were the one left out in the cold, and that person wasn't just and fair, and so I'm trying to make you see that I'm not that type of person, and you should move forward with me in a relationship. But I'm starting to think that you were lying. That, because maybe I know some of those other people and they don't seem to be more materialistic or immature. They seem to maybe be moving forward in life and moving on. They seem to be emotionally mature, stable, just, fair people. And maybe you're the one who wanted to go indulge yourself. And maybe you're the one who's more materialistic and egotistical and likes to be the indulged, privileged person in a relationship. And then some of those people are becoming defensive to them. And those people have to do this work within themselves too, to grow and heal and mature themselves, because they were also kind of naive and gullible, that there was people in the world that are in this shadowy energy that when they have an opportunity to do love, they'll kind of milk it for as long as they can, but then that's really not what they're wanting to invest in. And eventually people see the truth of it. And then they go back and repeat that pattern with someone else. For some people could have gotten in a relationship. They were kind of hiding that they were kind of maybe just like some of the people they were in relationship with, kind of thinking life should be more about them being indulged or looking for someone who reminded them of people in their past that they had unresolved issues with. And that's why we can kind of be drawn and attracted to certain people, because they are the person that does kind of have some traits or characteristics of people, maybe from childhood, that we had some wounding from. And then we think, if I can get that person to change and to love me, it frees me from that pain and heartbreak. And we go get in those relationships, and then we see the truth. Why am I trying to change people that are a certain way of being? All I do is feel overwhelmed and hurt and wounded and rejected. If I've already seen the truth that some people are stubborn or bossy or intimidating or egotistical or cold or detached or not very loving or not very warm, I am done trying to get those people to change. I'm going to change me. And then I'm going to free myself. And I'm going to move on. And someone else can try to go change those people if they want to try to take that on. But I no longer want to try to change people. I'm looking for people who I think are more on the same page as me. And I speak my truth. I listen to my intuition. I get to know people. And if they seem to, my intuition tells me they still haven't healed, they're still immature, they have these shadowy ways of viewing relationships, they're not the person for me, and I'm not going to try to change them. You go do you, and I'm going to go do me. And as some of you are moving forward, there could be people who now think you seem like the person that would be better for their ego or their image to be in a relationship with. Even if before they were people who thought that you didn't seem to be like the person. Like someone else seemed to have more of the status or the ego or the image, or they went to go get in a relationship with someone, but now they feel left out in the cold and they're sad and they're hoping you will indulge them again in a relationship, but they have the same way of being that they were before. And it's like, you're the same person you were before. If high vibe people tell you the truth, they've been illuminated to the truth. They're not in their ego about it. And that's why some people also won't come to get in a relationship with you. Some of them might have learned the truth, but they're too much in their ego to admit that they were a fallible human being who made a mistake. They don't want to illuminate the truth. They want to keep the truth hidden. And they're going to keep moving forward in some other relationships, even if it's not aligned with their truth, even if they're overwhelmed, even if their inner child nature and their creative inspired nature are like, we're not working with you on this. You know, and if your own creative inspired nature, which can be your fire sign energy of your sexuality, isn't cooperating, it takes a lot of work and effort to try to make those things work the way you'd like them to work in a relationship when, you know, it's not aligned with your truth. But some people, they're going to keep pushing through because unwilling to admit the truth. So, what's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Aries energy that they might not see coming? And periodically in our life, again, we have to look at who are the people I am moving forward with? Why am I moving forward with them? Why are they moving forward with me? Am I indulging them? Are they indulging me? We do have the pentacles here. Are people more driven by the ego, the image, the status? Is it love? Isn't it love? Who do I think would want and does want to be in a relationship with me because of love? They're not trying to, don't have ulterior purposes. And detach from the people you need to detach from and communicate with the people you do need to communicate with. And listen to your intuition about who's telling the truth. The Two of Wands, why? Because of the Page of Swords. Because some high vibe people were willing to stand up for their truth of what they think is just and fair, and they weren't willing to let the world, their own more shadowy nature, other people who are a more shadowy nature, stop them from standing up for themselves, even though it really could have been really difficult. I would view going from the King of Swords to the Page of Swords. The Page of Swords is a much more kind of, I've gotten out of my defensiveness. Maybe initially I really had to stand up for myself. But as time has gone by and I've done this work within myself, I'm kind of at a place again of peace about it. I just see the truth of people are driven and motivated by their own things. They have their own truth. They're going to bear the consequences of their life decisions. And I have my truth, and I'm going to stand up for my truth. And from the Ten of Wands down to the Nine of Wands, I have no interest in having a new beginning with those people in an Ace of Wands energy. I have learned to be defensive to my own, more how my own shadow, immature worldly nature tries to manipulate me, my defensive nature, my prideful nature, my lustful greedy nature, all those things. I've learned to have good boundaries to all of those things because of these life experience and lessons I've learned. I have a dream, and I am going to keep offering love, because love is the answer. I'm going to keep offering love to it to maintain a place of balance about it. There can be people in my life who try to be intimidating and controlling, people who try to manipulate me, people who do reject me, people who do turn their back to me. It's like, okay, you know, you do you. And I'm not going to let other, because that can be shadowy Aries too, which anyone can harness. I'm the boss. I write the story of your life. It's like, no, you don't. You write the story of your life, and I write the story of my life. And I'm moving on because I have seen the truth, and I'm working through the regrets of it. I'm inspired to have a new beginning, and that takes time. And when I am ready to speak my truth and take action on that, I will. And when I do, things won't tempt me to repeat this old pattern with anyone, because I work through all of it to be free of it. It no longer has the hold on me. You know, it could be, you know, even the way some people, I mean, I don't think you should play with fire, but, and I don't mean fire literally, but say some people kind of indulge in something to feel better that could have kind of become a problem, like drinking or drugs or something like that. Can they still drink? Yeah, I've just put it in perspective. I don't think that is the end all be all and the answer to my problems, because I realized it put an end to me being balanced and overwhelmed my life, and I saw the truth of it, and I love myself, and now I stand up for myself, and I've emotionally grown and matured and seen why I did indulge in those things or were looking for people to love me because I hadn't learned to love myself, blah, blah. And now I'm back to having that more hopeful, believing spirit and believing in my dreams. And I'm willing to communicate my truth to people because I'm not in my ego about it. And I'm offering love and encouragement to other people to move forward. You know, shadowy energy can be competitive energy. I don't want other people to be victorious and successful and whatever because I don't know. I think it says something about my worth and value. But, you know, if we want the world to be a better place, we want everybody to do the best that they can do. And everybody's got their own unique talent, skills, and whatever. I've only got mine. Mine might be different than theirs. I can't be a nurse. I can't be a doctor. You know, I can't do everything in the goddamn world, right? We need other people to do it. And some people, though, they're very petty and immature and egotistical, and they don't like it when anybody seems to be doing well. You know, I want to try to stop people from viewing them as a just and fair, victorious, and successful person because I want everybody focused on me. It's like, okay. Anyway, I think as the high vibe people are moving forward in this energy, because you nurtured your own inner child, and the Page of Swords can be in your Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini. Gemini, in your free will, you chose to align with your more loving, hopeful, believing nature. In Libra, to get balance within yourself, offset your fears and insecurities with love and encouragement and compassion and forgiveness. And in your Aquarius energy, to look at life from a higher perspective. Have hope and faith and belief that you can heal. Believe in your dreams. You know, God's trying to work with everyone to help them, but everybody's got free will. And they can choose to do that or not. But you're going to stand up for your dreams. And because you loved yourself and you're taking this action to move forward in life, I think, you know, you're going to have these new golden opportunities in your life with other people who are being authentic. And if we don't abuse other people's trust in us, and we appreciate that they're being authentic and vulnerable and loving with us, and we're being in that energy, those are the people we can have our dreams come into reality with. What's coming up for some people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Aries energy that they might not see coming up? Okay. We have the Emperor, the Queen of Pentacles, the Page of Pentacles, the Seven of Wands, and the Six of Cups. And the reason is because of the Five of Swords. Well, there is some people that do try to control people in the workplace and in relationships and in family dynamics, because the Queen of Pentacles, being Taurus energy, can kind of represent all those different institutions in the world. And some people harness shadowy Aries energy, which is the Emperor. I'm the boss. It should be more about me. You should focus on me. You should make your life about me. You don't invest in your more hopeful, believing nature that's inspired by a more deep, meaningful relationship. You know, you kind of give up that dream. The Five of Swords is also Aquarius energy. I have mental conflict with people who stand up for themselves or inspired or want to do more deep, meaningful relationships, because I emotionally indulge my more immature nature of defensiveness, and I want to keep repeating an old pattern. And because they do that, there's people in their life, friends, family, relationship partners, love interest, people they could be married to, that have been defending them, hoping one day they would change and reconcile themselves with some of these issues that make them defensive to working more cooperatively and authentically with people. And eventually, out of love for themselves, some of the people see the truth. And it's like, I don't want to work with you anymore. I'm defensive to working with you. I've seen the truth. I gave it everything I could. I have a clear conscience and I'm ready to move on. And I'm going to go invest in people who I think are inspired by deep, meaningful relationships. I tried to change you and then I saw the truth. I can't change anyone. All I can do is offer people love and encouragement and truth and love. And if they're not motivated and inspired to change, I get out of my ego about it. I have that hopeful, believing spirit. I stand up for my own loving nature, and I'm going to go invest in more loving people. And then those people are mad that people wouldn't keep indulging them in their poor behavior. And then the people who, there's going to be other people, though, who can be defensive. A relationship they were in didn't work out the way they wanted, and these people make them a small gesture to be in a relationship with them, and someone else will get in a relationship with them because they have lessons to learn from them. But the people who might keep defending and staying in a relationship with them might be people who have their own inner conflict about being in a more deep, meaningful relationship, or they also haven't learned some of these lessons, and they could both be on the same page, but then they both could be kind of immature and defensive and keep repeating some poor past patterns that cause conflict in a relationship. But they're defensive to change, or defensive to seeing the truth. So if they get in relationships with some people who are more like them, it might be kind of overwhelming. They might have to put a lot more work and effort into keeping the relationship going. And they might want to keep it going if it has the status and the ego and the image and the things that they want. But then if they're in a relationship, what if that person has more money, more status, more image, and then this person is the person who has to kind of indulge someone? Then the shoe's on the other foot. I doubt for any of them it will change their mind, but it might make them, it'll probably just make them end the relationship to be the person who's more in the bossy one. But if they get in a relationship with someone who's more like themselves, it could be someone who is kind of likes to be the center of attention, kind of bossy and controlling, wants to be in the relationship because it makes logical, practical sense. It has the status, the ego, the image. And both of them could kind of feel overwhelmed in it because neither one of them really works cooperatively from love. It's more like, well, I want this to keep moving forward for my reasons. You want it to keep moving forward for your reasons. We're both defensive to getting in a different relationship. This does have all these things of the world that we want. And everybody stays in it, even though they're not maybe inspired by it or attracted to the people, don't view them as loving and nurturing. But they got those things of the world that they want, and for some people, that's the most important thing. They're going to keep defending it. They might end up having a lot of mental conflict about it. And some of them won't, because it is all about looking like a shining star in the world. But their more creative, inspired, authentic nature is really overwhelmed, and it causes a lot of mental conflict within themselves because they're not balanced. It's kind of like working with our dualistic nature and telling our shadow nature, like, we are going to get some of the things that we want in the world, but we're going to go about it in a just and fair and authentic and loving way. That way you can kind of move forward in balance. Your shadow nature might be a little sad, might feel a little left out in the cold, is constantly trying to tempt you, but you keep offering it truth and love. I do have your best interest at heart. If you want these things, the best chance of our accomplishing our goals is to work together. And then begrudgingly your shadow nature kind of comes with you. And other people, their shadow nature is full on in the driver's seat. Their more loving, hopeful, just, fair, balanced, authentic nature is completely shoved in the trunk. And they think they can, like, those aspects of themselves are unimportant. But your loving nature, your creative, inspired nature, acting with character and integrity nature, it will all kind of wear on them. And they're trying to move forward only operating from their more worldly nature, defensive nature, or selfish nature, or materialistic nature. And again, they could be people who try to present themselves as not being that type of person, but other people have their intuition and they can see that you stubbornly keep defending this certain way of being, and other people can kind of see it's out of balance, and then other people in their life kind of become defensive to them. It's like, I don't know that I want anything to do with this. If this is what is so important in your life, you go do you, and I'm going to go do me. And then from the Nine of Wands down to the Two of Wands is the Seven of Wands. Some people in their life who used to stand up and defend them could quit standing up and defending them because they keep repeating a pattern, trying to hide the truth. But other people can see the truth, that there's some things that manipulate and control you, and kind of got, that shadow energy of the big picture represented by the devil, these things that get a stranglehold on you. And it's like, I have a hard time watching you trying to so determinedly move forward with something that practically everyone else can see that you should be defensive to. Why aren't you standing up for yourself? Why are you so manipulated by this? But some people are really defensive to harnessing more high vibrational fire sign energy in their more worldly nature, in their Virgo energy, in their Taurus energy, in their Libra energy, in their Aquarius and their Leo energy. The most important thing is having this certain status and image, or repeating this old pattern. And some people don't want to live their more authentic life. So it's like looking at other people in their life, or people they grew up with, or their parents. I have to repeat this pattern, because if I don't repeat this pattern, I would have to love and believe in myself. And I'd have to listen, like go on my own journey and like create my own life. And for some people, that is too scary for them. And so even though it caused them a lot of mental conflict, they keep defending this way of, it's kind of like people who get stuck in a time warp. And part of it can just be that they don't love themselves enough to see that everybody had their time and place in life. They lived their life the way they lived life and made the decisions they made in their life because of their unique circumstances. But just because those people made those decisions and lived their life that way, and even though by worldly standards it could have looked kind of victorious and successful, even they could have felt left out in the cold and sad living in that type of dynamic. But because they're so unwilling to tap into their more creative, inspired nature to guide them, it's like, no, I've got to follow this template. I got to do everything just like they did, because it kind of worked for them to a degree. It looked victorious and successful by worldly standards, so I'm going to repeat that pattern. And it's just not like even living their own life. We all have our own truth and we all have our own dreams. It's like nothing wrong with being a potato farmer, but if someone's like, oh my gosh, I've got to go be a potato farmer because my family were potato farmers, it's like, maybe you should be an artist or a singer, and that's your unique talent, skill, and interest. Like, oh no, I can't do that because they didn't do that. It's like, oh my gosh, go live your more authentic life. And it's like, no, I'm defensive to that. That would be stepping outside my comfort zone. I have fear about doing that. Even though I'm sad and I feel left out in the cold, I'm going to keep repeating this old pattern. Or I'm going to keep getting in relationships with people for these reasons that really aren't truth and love because I saw other people do that and it worked out for them, so I'm going to do that. It's like, oh my gosh. Well, the longer they keep doing that, I think the more overwhelmed and the more mental conflict they're going to have until they're willing to stand up for themselves. But some people will never stand up for themselves. So, there you go, Aries. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.